Okay, so thank you for joining me for this professional development on Gimkit. Gimkit is essentially something that you're kind of familiar with and kind of not. I'm assuming most of you at some point in time have either created a Kahoot or quizzes or taken part in one of them at professional developments or something like that, correct? Gimkit is kind of a new age style of Kahoot and quizzes. It was actually developed in 2017 by a then high school junior, Josh Fine. He researched what students liked and disliked about Kahoot and quizzes. He talked to his teachers about what they liked and disliked, and up with a new type of a gaming platform to help students learn that teachers Kahoot on steroids. It's essentially a game within a game. So as opposed to your typical game of here's the question, do the answer as quickly as possible, Gimkit allows you to not only answer the questions, but then you earn money as you're answering questions, and you can use that money to purchase power-ups, to sabotage opponents, to help yourself out. There's a lot of cool little things with it. It is very, very easy to set up the various kits, and you can also import Quizlet sets if you already have used those in the past, or else CVS files pretty easily. So the one downside on Gimkit is that it does cost money. It's not like Kahoot and Quizzes, which is free to use with the premium package that you can add on. Gimkit does allow you to try a 30-day free trial without having to enter any credit card information in or anything like that. But then if you decide that you do enjoy it, that you like it, it does cost $4.99 a month or about $60 a year. There are two different modes in Gimkit. Gimkit Live is the quiz-based side of things, and Gimkit Inc. is a place for students to be able to collaborate, create work, publish work, and push work out to peers, colleagues, to teachers, and things like that. Today, we're going to be focusing on Gimkit Live. So when you first sign into Gimkit and you get into the system, there's a lot of different little things that you can do. After you create kits, if you wanted to make an assignment out of it and use it as like a homework practice type thing, you can set it up so that this kit is active until this point in time. Students' goal is to reach whatever amount you decide for them. After students complete it, you can go in, you can view the reports, you can see who completed it, how many questions they got correct, how many they got incorrect, what their total earnings were during the time that they were in the assignment, and things like that. It's pretty easy to set up a new assignment. You just basically select which kit you want to use, what the due date is, and what the target cache is that the students are trying to reach. There's also the ability to create classes with it. So you could actually create a new class. You can link it into your Google Classroom. So that way, like you have your entire, let's say 1A class as a class in Gimkit as well. And once you have that set up, you can actually create seasons where you can have classes compete against each other. You can have them compete against their classmates within the class. And there's like season rankings that go along with it, depending on what you set up for the season status. There's also the ability to do a kit collab. So let's say like you just got done teaching a lesson about cells and biology, and you want students to kind of think about some of the information that they learned during the class and things like that. With the kit collab, what you do with this is when you give them the code and the students themselves will create the questions, or automatically create a kit based on the questions that are created by the students. And then at that point in time, you could then, for the last 10 minutes of class or whatever, have the students play through the Gimkit that they created themselves just by creating like one question a piece. With the kits, all you got to do after you create them is click on Play Live, and there's actually 11 different play modes that you can choose from. There's Classic mode, which is something that we'll try here in a few minutes. Earlier today during Community Wellness, we actually engaged in a humans versus zombies match, which basically splits the students into two teams. They're either humans or zombies. They each have a health total, and as they go through and answer questions, they can purchase power-ups, or else they can use their money to either heal themselves or to attack the enemy. And it's basically pitting one team against the other. They also have things like the floor is lava, where the entire class works together to try to stay above the tide of rising lava and things like that. There's some really cool different little modes. We will play classic mode for a few minutes today once I get through a couple of these things. So with the classic game mode, you can either choose to have it be timed, so the game lasts for a certain amount of time, or else it lasts until somebody reaches a dollar amount, or else you can have it where as a collective, as the class, once they reach a certain dollar amount, then the game ends and it gives rankings based on who had what in regards to how much cash they have earned. When you go to start it, you can choose some various options, such as, do you want to give them some starting cash? Handicap, if you get questions wrong, you actually lose money. So you can set a limit for students cannot get below a certain dollar amount. You can have it so that they can see the correct answer after the question, or else you can hide that, turn on or off the music. There's a clapping icon at the end where students can clap for each other, allow students to join in late. You can turn on or off power-ups. And that bottom one, the clean power-ups only, is in the game mode. There is a way where you can sabotage your opponents. So you can use some of the money to basically like blur the screen of somebody else in the class or freeze them so they can't do anything. You can also send gifts by increasing like a fellow classmates' total cash reserves, or else you can steal cash from them, reduce how much cash they're earning. There's some cool little features with it. So basic gameplay, when you see the screen, up top here is where the question would be. This is coming from, for my son, since he's in first grade, I was created a whole bunch of these for him to help him learn his sight words. So I actually recorded just myself speaking the word, and then he had to actually choose the correct word based on what it is. So you could also do something like that where you record things. It's very easy to set up. As you answer questions correctly, this bar along the top increases your dollar amount for each consecutive correct answer. So then you can start earning more money for each correct answer as you get them consecutively. When you get questions wrong, you lose money. There's also the power-ups and bonuses and things like that, where you can change that multiplier. So as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it can start to change to 2, 4, 6, 8, and et cetera, as you buy different levels. Money per question, streak bonus, and the insurance is for if you get something incorrect, it will reduce the amount of money that you lose. And each one of these power-ups has several different levels, and they get like more and more expensive as you move your way through the various levels. So just to show you a couple of things with Gimkit, like I said, it's really, really easy to take stuff from other services. And so like, let's say you're doing something on cells, and you found a set on Quizlet that you liked. Sure, let's go with this one. And if you're familiar with Quizlet, it's basically a flashcard service. So you have one side of the flashcard, the other side. But if you go to export tab, you have it set up for a tab in between things and copy the text. You can then create a new kit. Create the kit name. Get to choose like a little icon. Sure, we'll go with that. And you would choose this create with flashcards. You're going to import the flashcards. Paste, create. And you'll see that it's actually already provided, taken some of the other information, additional choices, so you don't even have to come up with the additional multiple choice parts for each one of these questions. Finish the kit. It appears, and it's ready to go. So it's pretty simple to also join one of these matches. Let's go ahead, and since we do have 2 science teachers in here, we'll go ahead and play this one real quick. We'll choose the classic mode. We'll go ahead and do a time, and I'll just set the time for like 5 minutes real quick. And all that you need to do is go to gimkit.com/live, and then you'll type in that code. And then once you actually join in, you create your name. And once everybody is in, we can start the game, and you'll start going through and answering the questions. I'm going to keep this screen up so you can kind of see like what the presentation screen looks like on the teacher end of things. And I do know I was talking to a couple of my students in a breakout room yesterday, knowing that I was going to be doing this training today, and asked them if either of them had ever used Gimkit, played Gimkit. And I guess it's very popular in our foreign language department, which makes sense because you could record yourself speaking in Spanish or French or whatever, then have them choose translations. And the second I said that I was doing the PD today and asked them if they had played, like the one student who was in foreign language with it was just like, I absolutely love Gimkit. So you are now officially in the game. But you can see how it's keeping a running track of the total money earned. It gives you a leaderboard of who's in first, second, third, fourth, etc. And then after each question, as you're answering it, you see how it comes up with continue to next question, or else it shows you as the ability to go to the shop. And you'll see I actually just joined in as well by keeping the live login. You can have students sign in late, so if you get going with the match or whatever, and a student isn't quite there yet, they can still join in, take part in it. And as you look on the screen for the teacher view, you can see who's purchasing upgrades, who has the lead. You can see a countdown timer. And just to change the view for the student perspective, when you go into the shop, you have the various different upgrades, and you can see how it goes from pretty cheap at $20 to once you get to level 10, you're looking at quite a price tag to be able to get up to that type of a stage. You can go back, change other multipliers with power-ups. This is where you'll find things like Streak Saver. So if you get a question wrong, you can keep your streak bonus going and it doesn't reset back to the beginning. You have various different things that you can use to sabotage each other and things like that. And then there's also a themes, which these ones don't really help any which way. They just kind of change the theme on your screen, and it's just kind of like status symbol type stuff. From the power up menu, you can get back to the questions by clicking on that triple bar and going back to questions. If you purchase a sabotage or something like that, that will then be listed in here so that you can play it whenever you want. You don't have to play sabotages or bonuses directly right away. You can save them for a little bit later on and things like that. And go figure, with a science-based one, it's the two science teachers slugging it out. And we're getting down to the end of this. And once this is over, I can show you something else real quick. So at the end of a match, it will tell you who ended up winning, what the leaderboard looked like, and things like that. From the student perspective, it will let you know what place you were in, what your balance was, how many you got correct, how many you got incorrect. I obviously do not know my science, or might have been randomly clicking on things. That's okay. But then it also gives you the ability after a match ends or later on to view a report. And within the report, then you could take a look at the individual students, take a look at how many questions they got correct, which ones they got incorrect. You can see that how often they got asked the question, so you can really like kind of focus in on like individual students, like, okay, they're not getting the concept, or else maybe it's this topic that a lot of students are missing questions about or whatever, so maybe you can reteach it the next day or whatever. So it is nice to be able to get that type of a feedback from essentially letting the students play a game that uses questions that deal with course content. The one thing I have figured out is that you want to kind of choose your question bank based on what it is you're trying to do. If it's something where you really want them to get a lot of practice and experience and really know that answer, it's good to have a smaller question bank so that as they're playing the game, they start to get repetition of the questions where they're getting the same question over and over again. If it's just more for generalized type stuff, you might want to have a larger question bank so they might not get those repeat of questions, because once you go through the question bank, unlike quizzes or Kahoot, it's just going to start recycling through the questions again. But that's a very, very basic demonstration of Gimkit. Do any of you have any questions for right now?
Hey, Chris, when you were doing the review, did you have to click on each individual student, or was there a way to find out which question was missed the most by the kids?
Okay, let me reload that report here. Okay, so you can see right now this is in student overview. So we have each student, how many questions they answered, how many they got correct, how many they got incorrect. But there's also a general overview that gives you generalized information, as well as a question breakdown to show you in total.
Gotcha. Okay.
How many students got it correct, how many got it incorrect. Now, once again, like I said, if you get to the point where you're repeating questions that, like, let's say this one with 3 incorrect, it might be the same student that got the question wrong 3 different times or whatever. But it's a quick way to be able to take a look at it as well and realize, like, okay, this question is like at a 15% overall in the class. Maybe I need to go over that again tomorrow.
Gotcha.
Good question.
I have a question, actually. Just looking at it, I just went on to sign up. Does Gimkit cost money?
Yes, it does cost money. They give you a free 30-day trial where you don't have to insert credit card information or anything like that. It's just to try out. But then after that 30-day trial, if you do want to continue using the system, it does cost $4.99 a month, or essentially $60 for the year.
Okay.
And if there's no other questions, I just want to say thank you for coming into my world, dealing with my craziness and listening to the dogs and the kids. and thank you for taking part of this, and have a good rest of your day and a great spring break.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks, Chris. You too.
Yeah, this was so fun.
Thank you, Chris.
We'll see you.